Hello YouTube, it's Lion here with Hobbies of Man once again, and today we're going to be doing our monthly check-in video for the month of May 2022. This is the sci-fi month, and well, not everything I've read has been sci-fi, but most of it has been. So yeah, let's start with what I've been watching, which has mostly been fantasy or, you know, otherwise anything not fantasy, and I haven't really watched too much. I was quite busy with exams, and so I didn't really end up reading all too much either until the last couple of days when I was done with exams. So this one might be light. It might be still long. I don't know. I do tend to talk a lot. So yeah, let's get into it. So what I watched first. Okay, so I finished watching Moon Knight. That is probably the biggest thing that I watched this month, and it was quite good. I haven't done a final video on it just yet, so I won't really expunge too much on what I thought about it, but I did enjoy it. I thought it was really well done. I think Oscar Isaac did a great job with acting as more than one character. I really enjoyed everything about the story, except for maybe the last bit of the ending, because I felt that the ending was a little bit rushed, but everything else was great. I really enjoyed it. I thought that the origin story taking 6 hours to develop and looking at it backwards instead of linearly forwards was a really interesting and very kind of, what's it called? What's the word? Enlightened or maybe visionary type of style to it. Like, I thought it was really well done. And it was nice because it changes the pace a bit. And it's pretty exciting. So, Moon Knight was probably the thing I watched the most. Then I watched the Nicolas Cage movie, The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent, and it was pretty funny. I actually did enjoy it. I think the Nicolas Cage meme is quite funny, quite good, and the fact that, you know, the movie was enjoyable. Actually, it wasn't amazing by any means, but it was good. It was a character study on a fake version of Nicolas Cage that was more or less meta commentary on real life Nicolas Cage, as far as I can tell. And it was pretty interesting. It was cool. We basically get to see Nicolas Cage being a shitty dad, a dad that doesn't really know how to connect with his child. We also get to see him be a person that is unhappy with their life. He has basically reached the point in his career where he just doesn't fit roles that he's interested in or something like that. And so his career has spiraled into, like, the dump, right? And so he basically wants to quit acting, except for the fact that he gets sent to spend the weekend with this guy who happens to be some sort of crime lord in Spain, who is played by Pedro Pascal. And with him, he finds this kind of like spark for acting and for all of this stuff that brings him joy. Mostly through the fact that this guy happens to have very similar movie tastes to Nicolas Cage's character, Nicolas Cage. And of course, it also happens that he loves Nicolas Cage movies. And so that little bit of ego boost plus all of this other stuff that makes Nicolas Cage happy leads to him being interested in helping this character out. I think his name was Javi. And then along the way, Nicolas Cage gets roped into being this kind of like hidden agent for the CIA, and it ends up being a really funky, weird-ass movie, but it's actually really, really enjoyable. I had a lot of fun watching it. I went to a Studio Movie Grill near me, which is a movie theater that happens to also function as a restaurant, and it's actually not good at either of those things. Like, it's good as a movie theater because the screen is gigantic and the noise is loud, but because it has this what's it called? This restaurant, like, secondary function to it. You have, like, people walking across all the time, and, you know, people talking and stuff like that. And so it kind of ruins the movie going experience a little bit. However, I went on a Tuesday because they have $6 tickets on Tuesday, and the movie theater was basically empty, so I didn't really have to deal with any of that problem, any of those problems that come with these movie grill places. And I really enjoyed the movie. I enjoyed the experience. It actually helped me relax from my final exams and stuff like that, so I really enjoyed it. However, it's not really the best movie ever. It's a okay movie, but it was pretty funny, and I enjoyed it for the fact that it helped me relax during a tough time. So I really did enjoy that. in that sense. Now, talking about the last thing that I watched was The Northman, and this is a completely opposite kind of feeling story. This is a historical fantasy to an extent. It doesn't really have that many fantasy elements, but it does have enough of them for it to be a fantasy story. However, it's a very kind of classic Viking revenge story. You know, the young man gets removed from his family in some way. He vows revenge. He goes away, becomes a big, powerful man, and returns to avenge his family. However, there's kind of a twist here, which is that everything he thought he knew about his family was a lie, and the way that he has grown up was also a lie, and so he kind of has a moment of loss where he doesn't understand what to do. However, he manages to reinvigorate himself and finish his final situation, his final revenge on this character that stole his family and his kingdom from him. And it was a really great movie. However, it was a really intense movie, so I wouldn't really recommend it for everyone. However, if you like fantasy and historical style fantasy, medieval style fantasy, and Viking stories, I think The Northman would be a pretty good movie to watch. However, don't really expect it to be a very traditional, like, action medieval fantasy type story, because that's not really, like, it kind of is that, but it also is more of a character exploration of, like, the main character, who I don't remember his name because I could never understand what his name was supposed to be. But everything was really good about the movie. I actually really enjoyed it. I thought the magical elements were good because they weren't overplayed. There wasn't like wizards fighting each other or anything like that. There was just enough magic in the story to make this feel like a myth, like an epic, like I don't know, some sort of fancy story. And then the characterization was pretty brutal. I liked that a lot. I thought it was very serious. And it didn't come off campy at all, which is good. It managed to maintain seriousness throughout itself and throughout the way that you experienced it. And then the final battle at the end was great. I loved it a lot. I thought it was really, really, really good. It was really cool. It also reminded me a lot of Star Wars, which is really interesting from a, from a fantasy movie. But remember, Star Wars is based on the monomyth, which is the condensation of all of the myths ever into a singular, easy to follow path. And so it makes sense that there'd be a lot of things that would be very similar in that sense. So, I thought it was a really great movie. I actually really enjoyed it. I thought it was a bit long. It was a little bit too long. I think it was 2 hours and 15 minutes. I think it could have easily been an hour and 50 or 2 hours exactly. I think there was a little bit of bloating here because there was these very wide establishing shots that didn't really need to be there because the story was about the character. It wasn't about the character affecting the world around him. So I don't really think that those shots were necessary. However, everything else about the story was quite good, so I can't really say that anything was particularly bad about it. And so it's a really good movie. I really, really enjoyed it. It reminded me a lot of The Green Knight, which is another movie that has this very kind of weird, fantastical, mythological feeling to it without it really feeling like a fantasy action movie, which is great. I actually really like these types of movies, and I didn't think that would be the case. However, The Green Knight was an A24 film, which was really awesome, and this Northman film was by David Eggers, I think, and I think I want to check out all of his other works. However, I think his other works are horror, and I'm not really a horror person, so I don't know. But The Northman was great. It reminded me of The Green Knight, and if you like The Green Knight, you'll probably like The Northman. There you go. That's all I've been watching, and yeah, that's basically it. I haven't really done much watching of anything in the last couple days. Then let's look at all the comic books I read. Then I'll talk a little bit about the novel that I've read, and then we'll talk about the manga at the end. So feel free to skip to the last section if you want. So first, let's just look at the one comic book that I read because I bought it, which would be Mirka Andolfo's Sweet Paprika, Volume 9, sorry. This one comes to a head. There's this situation with Paprika dealing with the fact that her father is basically not who she thought he was. And so she goes and confronts him. And it's a really interesting story. Like I said, a very soap opera styled story. It's a very kind of it had like elements of rom-com throughout the story, but it is mostly a drama story, and it's actually really, really good. I do recommend it. Of course, the art style is also great. It's very raunchy though, so be aware of that. It's not really something you can read out in the open. It's definitely not safe for work, but it's really good. I really like it, and I can't wait to read some more of it. Then it was Free Comic Book Day, and there's a bunch of comics, and I don't really want to talk about all of them because I think I already did in my haul video, which I've recorded half of already, so I don't really want to go into detail about everything, so I'll just go over the 4 or 5 issues that I thought were the best. I'll talk about why I thought they were the best. And yeah, so I went to Madness Games and Comics, which is a store here in Dallas, which is a great store. They had a sale to celebrate Free Comic Book Day, and I got a bunch of manga, which you guys can see in my haul video. And they also didn't limit how many comic issues you could get, so I got basically one of everything. I think I missed 2 stories that were available, and I didn't get them. However, I did accidentally get stories that I didn't want to get because I was looking at them and I forgot to put them back, and so it kind of sucks, but at the same time, it doesn't really matter. They were free, and they gave them to me. They didn't say no about anything, so yeah. But there were 4 issues that I really, really enjoyed for a variety of reasons. So one of them was this X-Men Avengers Eternals Judgment Day preview. This had a few different segments here. One was this introduction to Judgment Day, which was the first part of this comic, which is quite good. I really like the art style, and I thought the moralistic issues that it conveyed was pretty interesting. Basically, the Eternals have to follow their Prime Directive, and the Prime Directive immediately goes into conflict with the X-Men mutants and the Avengers, basically everyone else that isn't a mutant that has superpowers. And it's pretty interesting. It doesn't actually get into the conflict, it just sets it up very lightly, and I thought it was good. Then there was this other one called Judgment Day of Deviation and Mutation, which was a different look at other things, and I didn't really care for it. It mostly dealt with some sort of Blade adjacent character. And then this last one here, I can't remember what it's called, but it also helps set up more of the Judgment Day stuff with Moira taking over Mary Jane or something like that. And I liked it. I thought the art style was good. I liked the first one and the third one. I didn't really care for the second one. I just didn't like the art style. It was not great compared to the other 2. And most of the time, if I don't like the art style of something, I won't really care to read it, at least when it comes to comic books, because most comic books don't really have great stories anyways, so half of, or 75% of the enjoyment is mostly about the art style. Then we had this Dark Crisis one, and this was cool. I thought it was interesting. It basically deals with these kids that are having a tour of this facility, and then it turns out that their tour guide is actually a villain, and a version of the Flash saves them. And then we get to see this kind of like new Justice League kind of coming together, and maybe they have to get the older Justice Leagues to do something. And I don't know, I think it's fine. I think it's interesting. However, I feel like you're really going on these crisis events a lot, and it's really kind of annoying because it's like, well, if you're resetting the universe every 2 years, what the hell's the point of even caring about anything that happens, right? So I don't know, I think it's ridiculous, but it also is interesting. It also plays into nostalgia a lot, which is basically half of the reason anything sells nowadays. So I don't know. I have a lot of DC stories that I want to read, but then I always feel like there's no point in reading them because I know that there's just another resetting events here coming real soon, and it doesn't really matter. So I don't know. Sometimes DC really makes it difficult to enjoy. Like, I don't think Marvel has as many like reset events. However, Marvel also doesn't really have stories that I care too much about either, so I don't know. I think I'm mostly just going to switch over to indie comic books, and it'll be fine that way. But there are a few different DC or Marvel titles that I might check out here and there. And this one looks interesting. There's a lot of nostalgia for a lot of people that read comic books. I personally didn't read comic books growing up. I only picked them up recently. However, you know, I can still kind of get caught up in that kind of a nostalgia baiting idea because, I mean, I'm familiar with all of these things, right? So, yeah, but I don't know. I like the art style a lot, which was really good. That was mostly the major draw here. Then I had this one called Primos. This is a 1 of 4, which is interesting, and this is half in English and half in Spanish. Like, it's the same story twice, but the first half of the comic book is the story in English, and the second half is in Spanish. And the translation wasn't great to the Spanish version. However, I think it fit the kind of idea that this is kind of a Hispanic, but Hispanic American, or specifically Mexican American. So that's a slightly different feel to it than if it was a purely Mexican story. However, I thought it was good. It was pretty interesting. The way the kids are characterized was good, and basically deals with this young man right here in the middle, who somehow gets powers because he's apparently a descendant of this very powerful some sort of shaman or something for some Aztecs or Mayans. I can't remember, but I think it was Mayans. I don't know, but he gets these powers and he has to do something, but we don't really know what the heck he's supposed to do, except that the world's going to end and he needs to save it. So it's cool. I actually liked it a lot. I thought it was really interesting, and there were some concepts here that I thought were really, really cool, like this idea based on these images. You know, if you've ever seen Ancient Aliens and you ever see them talk about Mesoamericans, you know, there's this image of this Mesoamerican man inside what looks like a spaceship, and this is referenced here, which I thought was cool, and I thought that was pretty interesting. And it seems like these Mesoamericans are some sort of like Green Lantern-esque force, which is cool, and I thought it was fun. I definitely want to check out more of this. And the last one I really enjoyed was this Street Fighter V back to school thing, and it's mostly about these two girls that are high schoolers, I think. I don't know much about Street Fighter, so I wouldn't know anything else, but there's these two girls, they're fighting in some tournament, and then they finish up the tournament, and they go and walk around this school fair in order to see what university they go to, and they end up kind of causing an issue where all of these older recruiter girls start fighting each other in order to prove that they're better. And there's this big fight, and it's fun. I liked it. I thought it was cool. I really liked the art style. I thought it was really adorable and very cute. And of course, all of these female characters look really nice. However, there really isn't much substance here. It was just a fun little, like, hey, let's put all our female characters into one issue and have them do something. And, you know, it was fun. I liked it. Other than that, I don't really find any of these other ones, like, particularly valuable. Like, I didn't really hate any of them. Or, well, I did dislike some of them, but most of them were okay. This one was cool. Spider-Man versus Venom. Let's see, what else? This one was pretty interesting. Text. This is in black and white, which is cool. This one was actually pretty good, but this is a kid's story, but I thought it was interesting. However, it didn't really get into any of the plotline details. It was mostly just a setup. This Red Sonja one was kind of boring, but I like the art style because it's kind of old. And Red Sonja is a character that I quite enjoy. These 13 ones were also pretty good. This Barbaric one I just got because of collectors, like a collector mentality, basically. I already own this in an edition that I like, but I wanted to own the Free Comic Book Day one for collecting sake. This one was cool too, but it wasn't amazing. I don't really know too much about Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. And this one was okay. However, the story that was good was this little one here, Bjorn and the little Viking. It was really cute and really funny, and I quite enjoyed it. So, yeah, that's it for the comic books. Let me pick up the ones that fell and reorganize this a little bit, and then I'll come back and do all of the other reading log stuff. So, okay, and I'm back. So, the only novel that I've been reading right now, even though there's 3 on my TBR, is Red Rising. I didn't really read that much of it. I only got 37 pages in, but all of those 37 pages were really, really interesting. So I quite like that. I don't know how to describe this. I would say that the best and easiest way to describe this is the beginning of Hunger Games. Like when Katniss is explaining her life and she's in District 12 and she's showing you that District 12 sucks. Same idea. However, we're following these people that live on Mars who happen to be Reds, which are, I don't know exactly what they are, but they seem to be linked to Mars specifically because Mars is the red planet and these people are Reds. However, they're not Reds because they live on Mars. They're Reds because this is their societal caste, and they all seem to be very red looking. Like their hair is red, their skin is kind of darkish, and everything they wear is red. So think Hunger Games, like separation of people with like let's call it Divergent style color coding of people, and then think of like basically what's it called, Expanse. However, like that societal kind of issue in Expanse. However, it seems like it's gonna get into more of a like take over the shitty society kind of angle, and I'm really excited about that. I hope it is. Where I am right now is basically that this main character Darrow and his wife went somewhere that they weren't supposed to, that they actually should have been able to go to anyways, but they got caught doing this, and it looks like she's probably gonna die. Like, I mean, I don't know, but that's how this type of story usually goes. You know, they do something they're not supposed to, they get caught, one person dies and the other one lives, and so the other one takes on the dreams of this first person, and they go ahead and do the thing that the other person wished they did. And so I'm guessing that she's gonna die, Darrow's gonna take over her wish and create this coup against all of these golden and silver and, you know, whatever else other people there are supposed to be. So pretty excited about that. I think it's really interesting, and I quite like this. I understand why some people say it's YA. However, it doesn't really feel YA because, I don't know, it just doesn't have that feeling to it. It's also maybe because it doesn't focus on a female character, and most YA does, so maybe that's why. I don't know. That's a very oversimplified reason for it, but I don't think that's why. I don't know. I think it's kind of interesting to think about, but I don't really know why it doesn't feel like YA. I know it's supposed to be a adult fiction novel, but some people say it's YA, so I don't know. Then let's look at all the manga that I've been reading. So I decided to focus on digital here at my apartment, and then take all of the physicals with me home, which now I realize was the opposite of what I should have done. However, I like showing off my physical editions in books, so or like in videos, I want to show you my physical editions of my books. So that's why I wanted to do the all of the digital stuff first, so I can just put pictures up of that on the other video, what's it called, the wrap up video, and then just show you all of the physicals at that point. But I decided to scrap that idea. I'm just gonna do something else. But let's get into all of the digital manga I read. So starting with Cobra, the Psycho Gun. This one was a really weird one. It's a very old Shonen Jump title, and you can see it's from the days where kids stuff wasn't really, or like teenage stuff wasn't really thought of as kids stuff, and it follows this character. And I don't recommend you guys Google Wikipedia or Google what it's about, because it's going to spoil you to something that isn't really even hinted at in this first volume, so don't look it up. But Cobra, the Psycho Gun, is basically about this guy who happens to have this weird gun thing under his arm that he can pull out and use. And he seems to be some sort of scoundrel-esque character, you know, think Han Solo, or, you know, some other Pulp Fiction type of hero. And he's doing stuff, he's robbing shit, and then he stumbles across this woman called Utopia Moore, and he decides to start helping her as she's being tracked by these people. And the story ends before we can actually understand anything. And it was pretty interesting. I thought the art style was cool, and I liked that it was all in color. However, it definitely feels more like a comic book or a European comic than it feels like a manga. But I thought it was interesting. It's digital only. You can't buy it physically. But I thought it was cool. Then we had Parasite Volume 1. I read that. I thought it was okay. It basically felt like Junji Ito wrote Venom and drew Venom, and that's basically more or less what it is. And I don't know if this came before Venom or Venom came before it. It doesn't really matter. At the end of the day, it doesn't have anything to do with each other. However, it basically was like this symbiote thing came from space, attached itself to a human, didn't manage to take over the human, and so now it has to deal with the fact that it's an abomination according to its fellow symbiote people things. And now he has to deal with that. And that's basically what the story kind of focuses on. There's supposed to be some sort of horror thriller aspect to it. So far, it just seems to be body horror and survival tactics. And I thought it was interesting, but not interesting enough to continue reading it. So unless there's another sale where I can buy volumes of this for $1 digitally, I'm not gonna pick it up anymore. So I don't know. I thought it was okay. Maybe I'm being harsh on it. I don't know. I think there's only 8 volumes total, so it's not that big of an investment. But I didn't really find anything too interesting about it. So I don't know. Maybe I'll just watch the anime instead. Then I read the final saga of Dr. Stone, which was only like 20 chapters, but it was good. I actually enjoyed it. I thought the way it finished was quite good. It wasn't my favorite. I thought it was going to go a slightly different way, and honestly, it did feel a bit rushed. However, I think that Boichi and Inagaki were either ready to move on to a different story, or that they really couldn't make it last longer without actually making it like a giant, very long story. And it seems like Shonen Jump doesn't really want super giant long stories anymore for some reason. I mean, I understand why, but like, I don't know. It seems like they're not really pushing for that anymore. So Dr. Stone had to end now, and it did a good job of it. I really thought that it was going to go a different way, but I don't think that the way it went was bad. I just think it was fast, if that makes sense. I still need to make a final Dr. Stone video where I kind of review the whole series holistically, but I don't know if I'm going to get around to doing that this month because there's a few other Dr. Stone videos I want to do, and I don't want to rush myself into finishing them all up. So I don't know. Eventually, I will do it probably next month at the earliest. So yeah, then I read Zip Man. This was only 2-volume series. I think it got axed on Shonen Jump very fast, and you can kind of tell about halfway through the series they meet this character that seems that she was going to be more important, and then she basically disappears from the rest of the story, which is fine. It's not that big of a deal, but I don't know. It was fun. It was a little tokusatsu style story. It was about this guy who happens to get into a suit that happens to be holding the consciousness of his brother, and now him and his brother join together to be this Jackman character from their childhood, and now they basically save the world from other people in special suits, and it was fun. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was cool. However, it wasn't really amazing by any means. It was a pretty mediocre story. However, it was a nice way to spend an afternoon, or like not even an afternoon, like a few hours of an afternoon, reading it, thinking about it, talking about it with my roommate, and then forgetting about it. And I thought it was fun. I really do enjoy stuff like that because sometimes you don't really want to dig into a big series, or you don't really want to think too much about what you're reading. You just kind of want to enjoy. And I think Zip Man was really good for that. So yeah, then I read Heart Gear, volumes 1 through 3, plus whatever chapters were left over. So Heart Gear is a digital-only series in English right now. It's on the Manga Plus app, and it's completely free. You don't have to do anything. You just have to have an account, which is also free, and you can read it for free, and it's great. It's written by Shuyoshi Takaki, which is the writer of Black Torch, and this is a sci-fi story, and it's so good. It's so amazing. However, I didn't really expect it to be as horny as it is. It's very clearly Takaki taking every opportunity he can to draw like the hottest, thickest, like most bodacious chicks ever. And I really enjoyed it, actually. I thought it was cool. The fan service is definitely there, and it's on the nose. However, it doesn't really detract at all from the story, except for that one scene where he punches her boob, and then she explains that she would have died if he hadn't hit her her special, what's it called? Her special anti-kinetic force material or something, which was literally just her robot boobies. But I think the story is great. It's very philosophical. Basically, it really tries to deal with what it means to be alive, and it does this by putting a single human versus a plethora of robots who all have a prime directive compared to the human that has no directive at all, and trying to figure out what it means to be alive and what it means to be happy while being alive. And I think it's really great. It's very good. The first major arc basically deals with what it means to have a directive and what it means to reach the pinnacle of that directive through this character called Odin. And I thought it was really great. I liked it a lot. The art style was so good. It's a little bit grungy. It's a little bit scratchy, but it's so polished and well done. Heart Gear is great. And I really hope Takaki comes back to it here soon. He did say he was going to be back, but it's been about 2 years of hiatus for Heart Gear. So hopefully he comes back and he's safe and healthy. And I just can't wait for more. So yeah. Then I read Crazy Food Truck, Volume 1. This was a fun little story. I already reviewed it, and it's cool. I liked it. I thought it was fun. It's not amazing by any means, but it is a fun little food manga that deals with this kind of mystery that has some sort of military background to it, and these people just going around this post-apocalyptic world and having fun eating all the food that's available to them. So I liked it. I thought it was cool. I really enjoy these food series a lot, and there really isn't anything bad about Crazy Food Truck, so I'm going to continue collecting it since it's only 3 volumes. So yeah, then I jumped into more proper sci-fi here, and I went into No Guns Life, which was awesome. These volumes also feel really thick, and I don't know why, because they don't seem to be that much bigger in terms of like content, but they're just really hefty feeling, which is nice. No Guns Life Volume 1, I love this pink color. Then No Guns Life Volume 2, a nice yellow, and this beautiful blue for No Guns Life Volume 3. And this is not really like similar to Heart Gear, but kind of different. The art style is definitely different. However, it does have that same kind of like grungy, scratchy, but polished style that I would say is also kind of present in Heart Gear. However, this is a more kind of crime noir detective type story. It deals with this overextended, which means extendeds are people that have physical augmentations done on them with mechanical parts. Overextended are people that have these augmentations with weaponry attached to it. So we follow this guy who is an overextended, who happens to be a ex-military unit, and he is basically a private PI now. And so we have this kind of cyberpunk noir kind of what's it called, mystery thriller type story, and it's really, really good. It basically deals with this guy here having to hide and safeguard this young man named Tetsuro, who happens to have this special extended gear attached to him that allows him to control other robots or other extended, because they're not really robots, they're more like androids / cyborgs. I think I can't remember the distinction between those two words, but basically he can control other people that are like him. And so he's a asset, like a huge asset to this mega corporation that owned him. And so this guy has to protect him. And along the way, he also has to uncover all of the gritty, ugly, like shitty happenings of the city. And it's really, really enjoyable. I really liked it a lot. It was wonderful. And I can't wait to read more of it. I definitely want to collect the rest of this. I think there's only 14 volumes. And the 14th volume here is coming out here soon, so I'm definitely gonna check it out and see if I can collect the whole series by the end of the year, but probably gonna have to go into the next. So yeah, then I took a break from sci-fi for a little bit and went into Magus of the Library Volume 2. Wonderful little book here, and I'm curious to see if this story is actually based on some sort of Arabian mythology or Arabian fiction. I know that that's not a politically correct version of the sentence or of the way to refer to this type of fiction, but it is kind of like a classical fantasy designation, and I don't know how to articulate it or if I'm articulating it correctly. But basically, like, I'm curious to see if this story is based on like 1001 Nights or some sort of like Arabian fantasy mythology story from the time period where people were really interested in that stuff, because the first volume, more or less feels like a self-contained, like, origin story. This character from an unknown background that is treated badly eventually grows enough to be recognized by the town through a positive interaction with them. Very classic. It kind of almost feels like Aladdin. And then this one is more of a travel log. So we get to follow this young man post his introduction as he goes from place to place, and he does things in each place. So, in one place he helps this woman, in another place he helps this animal, in another place he gains money, and in the other place he gains, all of this whatever stuff. And this travelogue basically is more along the lines of a old school fantasy story. And then it ends with him getting to the place that he's supposed to be at, and then doing the thing that he needs to do in order to continue his story. So it definitely has a very structured and very well thought out kind of methodology to its storytelling. And so that's why I'm curious if it's following a predetermined path from an older story. But I don't know. Also, this is very kind of Arabian inspired. It's very kind of in that way, but it also kind of has a lot of stuff from other things included in it, which I think is really, really cool. So, yeah, Megas of the Library, great stuff. Definitely want to buy more of it. Then I read Mashal number 6, and this one is fun. I really like Mashal a lot, and I'm really enjoying it. I finally got past the first 50 chapters, which is the stuff that I had read previously, so I'm really happy to start with the new stuff, and I can't wait to see where it goes, because right now they're in these Divine Visionary test, and I'm really excited to see if Mash gets to continue to live or if he's going to get executed. So, yeah, very fun stuff. Then I read some Witch Hat Atelier today, Witch Hat Atelier 2 and 3, and holy crap, man, I love this story so much. It's so, so good. The story manages to balance a very serious, larger through line through the story, as well as these very cute and very meaningful little vignettes and slice of life moments between all of the little characters that exist, and I love it so, so much. All of the characters are so wonderful and vibrant and crazy and funny and weird and angry, and oh, it's so, so beautiful. I love this storytelling. I think that this mangaka is great. Definitely not in my top mangaka just yet. I definitely think that there's people on that list right now that are not this mangaka here. What's her name? Kamomo Shirahama. However, they're definitely going to get there eventually. I think that this is going to be one of my favorite series once I manage to read more of it. It's definitely one of my favorite art styles for sure, up there with Boichi's art style and Masami Kagesaki's art style and Drifting Dragon's art style. I can't remember the mangaka for that one, but it's up there. It's very, very beautiful, and I love it so, so much. But I haven't really been able to say that this is my favorite just yet, but it's so good. It's so beautiful. It's very, very enjoyable. And I just love learning about this made-up magical world. And it's so, so cool. There's also some elements of food manga in this, which I liked. I definitely know that there's a Witch Hat, or Food of the Witch Hat spin-off series. I want to get that. I don't know if it's in English yet, but I hope that it's in English sometime soon, because I'm really excited about that. If not, I'll just have to buy it from Spain. I don't care. And yeah, so that's it for that. That's all I've been reading right now. And yeah, this a lot more detailed than I thought I would make it. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, please leave a like, subscribe, and comment down below. Let me know what you thought. Let me know what you guys have been reading so far in the month. And thank you guys very much for watching. I really do appreciate it, and see you guys later.